because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
But this real sense that what you do as you emerge out of Middle Earth in your real life is you hope, because Tolkien's so good at capturing that.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. A video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set with the cloud.
And I said, I'm not happy, I've got bits wrong here. And she said, yeah, but that's all part of the learning process. That's all part of that makes it unique to you, that those kind of imperfections within it.
Hello and welcome to Faith and Geekery, the podcast and live stream where we talk about our geeky meanderings. Tonight we are Becca and my co-host
Mark.
Hello Mark, how are we today?
I'm alright, a bit tired if I'm honest, and I guess I need to start off with an apology. Last week, despite getting closer and closer to my microphone, I wasn't getting any louder because it wasn't going through this microphone, it was going through this microphone, and so hopefully we've got that sorted this time. So yes, so apologies folks, that was the issue last week.
Ever, professional on Faith and Geekery. It is delightful that we are joined by the moo in the barn, so called by herself, Lydia. It is lovely to see you. It's been a while. I was going to message you and then forgot. But it is always lovely to see our faithful attendees at the live version. And Lydia is hearing us clearly. Thank you very much. We always like the sound check.
Thank you.
So, Mark, what geeky things have you been up to this week?
I have been building trains, or rather, I have been building the same Lego train over and over again. And basically, this started off a few days ago when we had our radiator removed, and we moved the Kallax out of the way of the radiator because the radiator's been hanging off the wall for about 4 years. And basically, we moved the big Kallax out of the way with the Lego on top. I think you've seen this before, all the Harry Potter stuff. And we thought, oh, it's fine, it's out of the way. And then Kev, bless him, he's really good bloke, good DIY person, needed the Kallax moving a bit more, and you heard this as the Hogwarts Express crashed to the floor into billions of pieces. So I started putting it back together again. I put it back together again, and then 2 days later, my son with Jenny's boy were running around, and they knocked into the Kallax again, and it went again. And currently, it's nearly fixed again for the second time, but not quite because we haven't found all the pieces yet. But I guess that maybe reflects my mood today. I feel very tired. I've been very busy, and so all my pieces aren't here yet.
That's such a lovely analogy. All my pieces have not turned up to the show today.
Yes. Oh, in fact, as Brandon said, the chicken has left the hen house.
Summarised it.
That's quite similar as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of talking in code in the background there.
Okay. Becca, how about you?
Well, we are coming up to the spring dance show with my dance troupe in Second Life, and so this year's theme is Disney movies, and I have chosen to do Hercules, the opening, The Gospel Truth, and Won't Say I'm in Love. So I'm kind of at the moment I've created some overly complicated sets already to try and get that feel of the animated movie, but using 3D people, but without the ability to zoom in. So in Hercules, you've got some, especially in the opening ones, because of the pace of the music, You've got some really fast-paced scene changes, fast-paced clips, lots of different styles of animation, and it's trying to find a way to give the energy of that while knowing that the audience is actually on a fixed perspective of the front of a stage. So I'm thinking in the background of my head, what would this look like on the West End with some nice stage and scene changes, but done in a way that allows the speed. So I love the fact that, you know, at the end of an equally long thinking intensive day, I can kind of go into the process of kind of moving pixels around and doing a little bit of coding and lose myself in the sheer geekiness of virtual universe creation. That's what I'm doing.
Fantastic. I guess the same question goes to folks at home or wherever you may be tuning in from. And if you are picking this up later on a podcast or at another time, you can catch us on Discord and let us know that way in general conversation or otherwise. And the blurb to Discord should be in the doobly-doo somewhere. I've also been doing Minecraft as well with my children. And so been building in those sort of spaces. It's interesting that we've got this weird kind of diplomacy thing going on, or rather needing diplomacy in Minecraft, because each of my children like their own space, and then every so often one of them will get bored and make a house under another one or next to another one, a little bit too close or a little bit invasive, and therefore you go, oh well, you know, got to give each other space, and what is our expectations, and then lo and behold, we kind of work out this kind of nicely fined kind of, you know, understanding, and then lo and behold, the other one will then go and build their house right next to theirs. And it's like, do you not see this? Do you not see this? So it's hilarious. But yes, I'm aware that my children sometimes listen to parts of this, so I'll need to be careful.
Hello, children. I once had built, I've always loved to create the houses and the gardens and play around with the rules of Minecraft. And I once logged in to find every inch of my house was full of chickens. Absolutely, you couldn't move in there. Everything was just full of chickens, which did make me giggle, but also I then had to kill them, which I found quite upsetting.
My youngest has found and is reveling excited in the wolves and the cats. So as you go into their house, it is full of sitting cats and wolves that just look at you as you move around. In regards to hobbies and things, Lydia said, I've geeked out on Lego and storage boxes the last few days.
I love a storage box.
It's a product, isn't it? Product.
Geeky, yes. Yeah, that's what they call it on, what is it? The home improvement? No, the ones where they put everything in rainbow order. Product, yeah.
I've got to not take any credit for that. I'm very much my wife's viewing of things, and so that's what we call it now in our household. Nothing to do with me, but I'm a big fan of IKEA and places like that. And as you are illustrating, as we've said before, Kallax does seem to be the hobby and interest kind of go-to for things. And so I've got one just here, but it's out of shot and I'm not going to turn the camera around, as well as that's what the Hogwarts Express was doing on. So maybe I need buffers or something around the very top, or maybe IKEA should kind of present those sort of bits. So yes.
Etsy have quite a lot of good adaptations for Kallax stuff, which they can be pricey.
Very cool. Very cool. So shall we move on to...
Yeah, what are we moving on to?
I believe this week it's just going to be the quiz. Are we happy with that?
The quiz?
You beat me to it. I was just actually getting rid of the other banner before I go into it.
It's truly ridiculous.
Well, if anybody would like to kind of share an alternative audio on Discord, then I can put that in there instead, because I think that is going to irritate.
Welcome.
But I can't guarantee whether I'm going to slow it down or speed it up. I can't guarantee that. We're just
you can submit it, but it still might sound like a little chipmunk.
Yes, absolutely.
Lydia says, I was delighted when the box fitted just right in the space I had planned. That is I have to say, one of the best feelings. It probably should be.
And Lydia's also said that high-pitched voice itched my brain.
Sorry,
I think
Lydia.
it itches everyone's brain.
Yeah.
Apologies.
The quiz.
Right, so it is the quiz. So we need
Okay.
to make sure that we have pen and paper ready,
And
or just pretend.
oversized today, post-it notes.
Oh, nice. There is something quite nice at, kind of stationery and having those sort of things available.
Stationery. Should we have a whole episode on stationery? There is some theology around stationery. I think it is. I'll dig it out, but it gives you permission to really enjoy a pen. I'll find it.
Also, I feel a little bit on edge because I feel as if Tim is watching, looking at me directly. And I feel
Look at his little face. He's so
anyway,
ready.
No. We can't take the mick out because he does these videos and it's really, really good. And
Yeah, we're
I
very
appreciate
appreciative of Tim.
So
but we
don't
are
diss
also
the Tim.
lightly
Don't
going to
diss
mock
the
him.
Tim. But I think it's just a psychological thing of I can see someone looking at me and they've been really
He's just looking. He's
Yeah.
waiting for you to start.
exactly. So are we ready? I'm just going to write my numbers down.
I feel that Tim should have a beard, but he never has had one.
Right. Again, I'm going to just launch
I'm
into this
just
without the
suggesting it.
offensive stuff and otherwise. So let's go, shall we?
Hello and good evening, everyone, to the Faith Geekery quiz for the 21st of January 2025. Hope you're all doing well. Now, the quiz rules as follows, if Mark hasn't already said. Please get out your pens, paper, writing pad,
Check.
tablet,
Check,
pigeon
check.
if you want to. Do a team name, put it in the comments. We're
Oh,
going to ask
team
questions.
name.
We're
What
going
would
to
your
have
team name be?
the questions asked twice. You're going to have about 5 seconds gap in which I might be paused, in which I will make a funny pose. So it looks amusing
Yay.
for those who are watching us live.
Gently
It's 'cause we let
mocking
him
you.
know.
It will be confusing if you're
Okay.
listening to this podcast later. And then
Oh,
we're going
yeah.
to do the answers right at the end after we do the 5 questions. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Question number 1. Castlevania Nocturne Season 2 released within the last week on Netflix, set in revolutionary France. King Louis XVI was guillotined on this day in 1793, during the height of the French
Where's the question?
Revolution. But my question to you is this. In what year was the last guillotining in France? Was it 1851,
Oh,
1939, 1943, or 1977? That question again. In what year was the last guillotining in France? 1851, 1939, 1943, or 1977?
See, I've seen this recently.
I think I know it. Oh,
I think it's more recent than we think it is.
I was realising I was pressing pause. Oh, don't give anything
you
away
paused?
to folks. I have paused it, but I might not have paused it at the right moment. So we might get a funny
Sorry, Tim,
shot of
we
Tim.
paused you on
I was-
such a funny face.
I didn't mean to. I was looking down because I didn't want to forget the date that he'd said. And so anyway, I'll unpause if we're happy to move on.
I feel the talk about the guillotining was perhaps slightly too perky a tone on that has been guillotined.
So I was trying to work out because he went about the Castlevania thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, where's he going with this?" But it was a little bit of our geeky news, so that's good.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, that is the look. Now that is the look that he's giving for.
Oh wait,
To be
that is
paused.
the frozen look.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
there we go. Look,
Question
I
number
moved.
2.
Thanks,
After
Tim.
weeks of leaks, the Switch 2 console was announced publicly last week to be released in 2025. As of today, since it was released in 2017, how many consoles have been sold? You're allowed within 5 million of the correct answer.
Well, that's
That question
helpful.
again. As of today, since 2017, how many of the original Switch
Oh, he didn't say that
consoles
bit. That
have
makes
been
sense.
sold? Answers within 5 million.
Oh, again. I'm sorry, Tim. I keep on pausing at the wrong time.
5
Oh my
million.
gosh.
Okay.
Oh, it is a ridiculous number. I remember seeing those like charts of things of the most successful game consoles.
Right, okay.
1 point. Oh, is that going to be ridiculous now, though? Yeah, go on then. I've
It's a
written
lovely
something.
pause face. I feel Tim's put effort into his pause face this week.
Hmm. Oh no, that's his pause face.
Oh, there's his pause face. There you go.
Thank you, Tim.
And for a bonus question,
Oh,
which Nintendo console sold the most consoles in its lifetime? Which Nintendo console sold the most consoles in its lifetime?
in his lifetime.
I can't remember any of the names of Nintendo consoles now.
Question number 3. Magic the Gathering revealed its trailer for the new set Aether Drift, which launches early next month. Which of the following sets, though, is fake? Outlaws of Thunder Junction, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, Thief of Time, Dungeons and Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realm. Which of the following Magic the Gathering sets are fake? Outlaws of Thunder Junction, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, Thief of Time, Dungeons and Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Genuine no idea.
I've got. Oh, look at that! There we go. Excellent.
That is his permanent. No, his purposeful.
Purposeful pause
critical.
face
Yes.
and pause hands. Excellent
Yes.
showing there.
Should we keep on going?
Yes, I've written mine down.
Oh, that is his. Yeah, that is his pausing.
Question number 4.
Thank
David
you, Tim.
Lynch sadly died last week, and yesterday would have been his 79th birthday. In 2006, he campaigned for the Academy Awards to nominate a particular actress. He did so by sitting between a large poster of the actress and a dairy cow. Who is the actress? In 2006, David Lynch campaigned for the Academy Awards to nominate a particular actress. He did so by sitting in between a large poster of the actress and a dairy cow. Who is the actress?
I feel I would know this if I had seen the image, but I do not know.
As in the picture. As in, if you'd seen the picture of the actress, you would have known the actress. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, but I don't believe I've ever. No, I don't believe I've ever seen that image.
Oh, okay.
So I can't even remember. I don't remember seeing someone sitting between a poster and a cow.
Yeah, Lydia's cow radar has gone off. Cow? I heard cow. Yes,
There you
we
go,
heard
Lydia.
cow.
Do you know the answer? I feel you should know all question related to cows.
Oh, I've just thrown. Yeah, I don't know. No idea. I don't. Lydia, do you know the answer? Shall we move on?
Yes, I've just seen Lydia's told me to stop squibbling.
And question number 5 in Lego news. Which book and film series from the mid-2000s is getting a Lego set released this year after being featured on the Lego Ideas submission? Which book and film series from the mid-2000s is getting a Lego set released this year after being
We've had this
featured on the
conversation.
Lego Ideas submission? And I can hear Becca right now saying she wants a hint. Well, here's the hint. Here's the plot, badly explained. A love triangle between an 18-year-old, a 100-year-old, and a
Oh,
dog.
I love you, Tim. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
okay.
We have had this conversation recently because then it took us down another rabbit hole.
Well, I think even with that hint, I got it, so that's good. I wasn't
Stephen
convinced.
Jones says he will be very disappointed if Lydia doesn't get the cow question.
Yes.
Okay.
So, shall we
answers.
go
Shall we
for
do it?
these? I suspect from the output, I feel as if I've maybe got 2 right.
All of mine are
And-
guesses,
Yeah, I think I
except the
might.
last one.
It's interesting, isn't it, having a different quiz person, just to get into their head of what is an obvious answer, what isn't an obvious answer.
Yeah,
I
I
think
know,
it's
but
quite
Tim just
interesting.
remembers so much. Not only
I
does
know.
Tim remember everything, he also remembers my schedule, which is delightful. I need more Tims in my life. Okay.
Well, let us move on.
Let's
And
go.
yes, Lydia
That
says she's
hint
going to have
again.
to
A love triangle between an 18-year-old, a 100-year-old, and a dog.
It sounds really bad when he says it again.
Is it a dog? Disgust.
Wow. Yes.
Have you got those answers locked in?
Locked
Good.
in.
Yes. Locked
Let's get
in.
those answers.
Locked in and ready
First
to
question. When was the last guillotining in France? The answer was 1977.
Oh, wait.
No way. I
Yep.
did.
Not really
That
anybody
was
to
so
make a comment to
recently.
make amusing out of that, but here we go. Question number 2.
1977.
How many of the original Switch consoles have sold? Answers within 5 million. The actual answer is 146.04 million consoles. So if you answer between
What?
141 and 151 million, congratulations, you still get a
Oh,
point.
I went well
You're
over.
a winner.
And the bonus
I went way
question,
under.
the Nintendo DS, not the
DS.
3DS and not the DS
Ah.
Lite, the Nintendo DS, with 154 million consoles sold for that bonus question.
There was a period where there were less.
Question number
consoles,
3,
wasn't
and I
there?
expect Mark has got this right, and if not, Mark, you should be a little bit disappointed.
I've never played Magic the
Thief of
Gathering.
Time is not a Magic the Gathering set. It is in fact a novel written by Terry Pratchett. Which is a good thing.
That noise,
Actress
people,
that
is me
David Lynch,
getting the
question
answer
4.
right.
Oh, sorry. I'll just pause that for a second. To be honest, I recognised Thief of Time, knew it as a Discworld, but I just assumed it was some kind of random Magic the Gathering title. But no, I didn't get it right.
I did
Campaign
get
to be
that right.
nominated was Laura Dern, who appeared in 3 of David Lynch's movies
Laura Dern.
I'm not
and
gonna
who he
Google
affectionately
that.
nicknamed Tidbit.
Okay.
Fun fact, Carl McLachlan, who was also in a lot of David Lynch's movies, he nicknamed Kale. And question number 5. Which mid-2000s book and film series is getting a Lego set this year? Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, it's the Cullen household.
Yes.
So we are getting sparkly
Oh,
vampires
that's
from
a nice
mid-2000s Lego book and
Wait,
film and
as in their house,
whatever
yeah?
series.
Yes, the house.
Rather than a Highland.
Marvellous. I want to build that
Right,
house.
that's the quiz. You should have 6 answers. Where did you get? Answers in the comments. And we'll see you next time for the quiz. Bye.
Oops, sorry. I'm going to just remove this. Remove. Oh, hello. That's interesting. It's not allowing me to let go of it. There we go.
Fabulous. What did you get, Mark?
I got 1. What did
And
you
was
get,
that
Becca?
Twilight that was heavily.
Oh no, I got 2. I got 2.
You got Twilight?
Sorry. Yeah, I got Twilight.
Oh,
So I
you got the
2
first
points.
one, didn't you?
Yes.
1976. That is 4 years before I was born.
77.
77. 3 years before I was born.
Yeah. Stephen got
Oh,
1.
Well done, Stephen.
sorry.
What was it? Which one did you get right? It's whether we need Stephen on our quiz team. If you got one of the one, Mark got that right. I'm assuming Lydia did not get the cow question. I mean, it wasn't directly related to actual cows. It
No.
just had a cow in the picture.
Thief of Time. It was a guess. Yeah, easy.
There you go.
I went with the Outlaws of Thunder Junction or whatever because it just sounded a bit weird. But obviously that is a proper one.
Oh no,
Nope.
I
Did not
just
get
got
the cow
lost in the world of Laura Dern and dairy cows.
Yeah, I don't even reckon. Her name is familiar. I can't remember.
The blonde lady in Jurassic Park.
Oh, I thought yes. Yeah. Cool.
There you go.
I've now got questions about why is there a cow, but anyway,
I don't know.
I'll
I mean, that's a Google search I will have to leave for another time.
a Kosia search, is it?
It is actually Ecosia that I search on.
Ecosia.
Yes.
So, without further ado, shall we move on to our topic of the evening?
Yes, let's have a little chat.
Yes. So we are talking about being self online ... question mark. And so, would you like to start for 10 or otherwise?
Well, I'll ask you a question. When did you first go online, and in what format were you online? Email. I don't think emails count. That's digital communication, but something that was web based. Where were you? What was it?
I remember going into a computer room at university before Cliff College and having a Google search for Catherine Zeta-Jones on a very slow image search. So that was 99, perhaps. But before that, before that, it was then. In fact, sorry, I'm just going to. I've got the image of Tim to the left looking at me. So I'm just going to get rid of that because it's slightly distracting. But then actually, properly, the first time it was in a computer room in Carver in Sheffield, near Sheffield, and I was sitting down to create my email address for the first time and sat with a good friend, and we both kind of went, what email address will define me forever? And
Forevermore.
And I was like, Cybersten sounds cool, and kind of regret it ever since. But it has become my handle, and it has become my kind of alias, and my website is Cybersten because it was a unique word that no one else has. So I've stuck with it, even though it does mean I have to occasionally go Cybersten, as much as when I have to actually explain and spell my surname as well. So it's just as bad as my surname, but a unique online identity.
It's interesting, kind of that first naming of it, and mine was and still is for my junk mail when I need an email that isn't my grown-up email, lickle_mermaid, no numbers, of which I am quite proud, at hotmail.com, which was made in 1996, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've had that since then. But I think the first time I remember, I don't really remember going on the internet until I remember friends at not Cliff University, pre-Cliff University, all going into the library, because you didn't have your own laptop then. You went into the library and they discovered chat rooms, so text-based chat rooms, and just kind of, it's kind of early days of text-based role play then. You kind of emoted walking into a room and doing stupid things, and my handle then was just poo, open brackets, F, closed brackets, poo with an H, like Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
Not just poo. That would be weird. But it was poo spelt with an H.
I was going to comment, but I'm glad you clarified that slightly.
Yes. I don't know why. But yes. So that was early on, and then kind of you had MSN Messenger, which wasn't really group things. It was more direct messaging, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Messenger. Then there was Yahoo chat and all sorts of things.
Stephen's just putting up.
Jumped in.
I was lurking around.
In a man voice.
Pardon?
Reading Stephen in a man's voice.
I was lurking around bulletin boards in the mid 1990s using a 33.6k dial-up modem at home. Yes, I'm that old. My unique email address was my surname and initials. I'm also boring. I think it's practical, Stephen. I won't say boring.
I think it's a win if you don't have numbers after your surname and letters. That always felt like, I'm unique.
The big question is, do people still have their AOL address, and things like that? That's always an interesting one.
And there were things like MySpace and all sorts of things when it started to then MySpace and then Facebook, where it really was just...
Yeah, well, but then you also had Ask Jeeves, and you had...
What was the music download one? Napster.
Napster, yeah. You also had, I was thinking it's Alta Vista, the search engine.
I loved Ask Jeeves. That felt similar to having the ball that I can't name in the corner, because there was that immediate response to questions, and we hadn't had that before then. You had things like Encarta, the digital encyclopedia. But it wasn't it didn't have that kind of AI feel of understanding a question. You had to know exactly what you were searching for in order to find essentially the chapter in the book. Whereas once Ask Jeeves came along, it blew open how you accessed information and understood it.
It also had a bit of a personality designated to it, didn't it? Rather than it just being a blank box.
Yeah, they
just
gave it a person to look at. Yeah.
Oh, Netscape Navigator. Oh, I think I had a CD of that, Stephen. I think it is interesting of how kind of the internet and how identity is developed. I remember MySpace, and my best mate will remind me, even to this day, that he was like, "Are you coming onto Facebook?" And I was like, "No, I'm going to wait for that fad to subside. I'm going to stick with MySpace." Like, ha 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 ha. And then it was like, "Oh, Becky's on Facebook. Hello." It's like, what is this MySpace? But and then but then at the same time there was like a certain network of friends that I knew on MySpace. I didn't know. I only met them through MySpace, and I kind of orchestrated my MySpace page to have like the robot chicken kind of cartoon of whatever and the music of this and that, and decided to have my own colours, and I think you could even have your own MP3 player, or is it Winamp? I can't remember whatever was playing, to kind of say who, to kind of give a bit of flavour of who you are and what you're into, and sharing the photo. They're really kind of limited photos, but you could even orchestrate whereabouts on the page everything was. So I'm going to mess things up. Haha! You're not going to know where my name is.
Look at me, I'm so cool.
It's So I think that was. I think I really enjoyed those days, but I also knew it was a bit of a faff of loading things up, and because you had that more access to the coding and HTML stuff.
There was more control. It was like laptops pre-Apple days, where you had more control. It was like using DOS. If you knew how to do it, or you were willing to make mistakes, you could. It's kind of early web page development, isn't it? Which is quite good. Facebook didn't have that same level of, you could put various bits of detail on, but you couldn't personalize your page. Lydia says Mark has just handed me a CD with Encarta on it. See, yesterday was, or was it this week, Martin Luther King Day?
Today.
And is it today?
Today?
Yesterday. And I used to go specifically onto Encarta to go to the Martin Luther King page and to listen to the I Have a Dream speech until I knew it so well. I could even get in the background of the people that were just kind of joining in with this incredible speech that was so mobilizing. So that's what I remember Encarta for particularly. But Facebook, it didn't allow you to personalize, but what it did allow you to do was take hold of your story. And to decide if I'm going to project myself and control how the world sees me, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to edit through it. And it was really interesting how different people engaged with it in different ways. And there were, for some people, it was a very, very filtered view where you only ever projected the good. And I found that quite disingenuous. So if I found things difficult, I would say that I found things difficult until a close friend told me to stop complaining in a really difficult place, and I thought, well, actually, I don't need that in addition to. So it's then this isn't a safer place, and it's that interesting perspective of how you think the audience is receiving story versus how they're actually receiving it. But yeah, it was a lifeline when I was a brand new mum living in the countryside with a baby I couldn't take to toddler groups because he was on oxygen and at risk to infection. So I was at home with family. My aunt was within half an hour, but the rest of my family were 2-3 hours away. So to almost validate my experiences, it was then, well, I can show photos. I can bring people along this story with me, share photos. I'll always say to new mums, there is no limit to how many photos you share. With whatever security protocols, which we had not considered at all at the time, because it wasn't something we talked about particularly. But kind of sharing the story of what it was to be a mum. Largely on my own because Richard was out working, so it was a lifeline at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak into how you projected your motherdom onto the network or into Facebook, but I think there is something there about
liking my every picture, Mark.
No. Who are you? No. I think there's something there about how you curate your life with the photos that you choose, and I find that quite interesting. And I think in the early days of Facebook and MySpace, I definitely had a pose that I would just bring to any kind of portrait or any selfie or profile picture, just because that was my kind of filtering what I wanted the world to see. But I didn't mind people taking photo as long as I just did a pose in a certain way, because I knew I was comfortable with that, and therefore I was happy with that. But nowadays, obviously, you've got all the filters, and you've even got AI, you've even got kind of ways of which people can kind of tweak, lift, even on Zoom you can kind of touch up your face to kind of smooth out those blemishes.
Unfortunately, you cannot do that on StreamYard.
And I wouldn't choose it anyway.
I'm going to see if you can.
You might actually be able to.
Oh, wait.
Is there an option to do that?
There is. Look, I'm going to do it all the way. Oh, look, I now look like a 5-year-old. So, yeah. And I think there's been various interesting things that have happened around the selfie. And, kind of 10-15 years ago, the selfie was about the lighting and the angle of the camera, and I found that incredibly empowering. Do I look 5?
No, I was just doing the whole pursing my lips and tilting.
The whole duck face.
Yeah, duck face.
which filters have essentially completely removed, so that you almost look unrecognizable, and there's such a danger then in losing sight of who you are beneath the AI projected version. But I found it empowering to be able to control what I projected and re-embraced a sense of self, because I was bouncing back and seeing myself and saying, well, actually, this is who I choose to be in a world that I can curate, which was fun, and it was creative, but it was also, this is my story. This is who I choose to be.
I feel as if almost that we're in a point now, especially with kind of the likes of TikTok and the various algorithms. Not only are we kind of controlling how others can see us, we're also maybe needing to be aware of how the algorithm tailors things for us, and what that says about us. And I remember there was like this comedian I just saw a couple of days ago talking about one of their really kind of conservative friends kind of getting wound up. I don't like TikTok. All it shows is drag queens and DIY videos, and it's like, we've got to put an end to TikTok sort of thing. And the guy's like, what are you on about? DIY and drag queens? What are you looking at? And he's like, no, everyone gets it. And this chap who was just getting more and more irate because he hadn't realised that, the algorithm pushes. the algorithms push what you like
Yeah,
because you've interacted with it or you've let it loop over and on all this kind of stuff. And so it was a very interesting twist on this whole kind of being self online, is that
Yes.
it's picking up on your subconscious, or the clickbait, the stuff that you're engaging with, whether you are aware of it or not, but it's then kind of lining up more of the same. And therefore, does it actually tell you more about you or the truths about you that you may not be used to? Lydia's just put, I get a lot of cows and so does Mark. And that can also be the other thing about your kind of your Netflix viewing, your BBC iPlayer, all that kind of stuff, is that as soon as you keep on entering into that algorithm, it'll go, oh, I think you like this kind of stuff, and you like, no. or do I?
No, I do not want to read another rom-com with wolves in it.
but then again,
per chapter.
but then it also kind of doesn't understand the complexities either. So there was like, even last week, it was like, no, I don't want to watch a Christmas film now. It's like, it's midway through January. Back off. Do you not understand? It's a seasonal thing.
And it doesn't allow you to question in some ways, unless you wipe it, unless you delete it. Once that pattern has started, to then, I'll hear someone talking about a new thing on Netflix that I won't have seen because it's not within the reality TV show cycle that Netflix has thrown me into, because I chose to watch Love on a Spectrum. It's kind of, well, how do I challenge that and find that sense of self again, so that I can be richer, deeper, breadthier, not a word.
I like it though. I understand it. Own it.
Well, I didn't want to say broad. I
think in regards to curating my own feed, I think I'd really like to have like a office hours feed and a downtime feed. Is that there's some things that I want to be motivated and kind of spiritually kind of like reflect on, but when I'm doom scrolling at because I can't sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't want like a deep and meaningful kind of sermon. I just want something to laugh and giggle over in a quiet sort of way before I scroll on to the next thing. But I think it's just interesting of how we have these devices in our lives that we kind of invest a lot of time into and spend time on within and curate ourselves on. And it's just interesting about actually how much does it tell about us, coming back around to this kind of being self online. But I guess when are we really our true selves anyway, I guess is a bigger, broader question.
And is it okay to explore, if we choose to curate a side of ourselves, but as I've said before, that the first thing I did when I logged into Second Life was find a church, and the second thing I did was find My Mermaid's Tale, and it's what is it to explore a sense of self and self-expression in ways that hold you within your integrity, and hold you within your wider relationships without losing sight of that. Because I think it's the internet is full of wondrous things and bizarre, weird, horrible things. And it's finding ways to keep coming back to who you truly are, and who you choose to be. I think there is choice within that. And it's a difficult thing to navigate, I think.
I just also wonder, what would it look like if your descendants look back and went, who is this Becca character? But we've got all the data. And then, because I like it as well when they were talking about the duck face, kind of going, hey, is this you, Grandma? What are you doing with your face?
Have you been stung by a bee?
Yes. It's like, oh no, kids, I'm sorry, all that data got deleted. Due to the big cleanse of 2030, when we suddenly realise it's very embarrassing.
The internet has gone too far. Let's just wipe it.
But then again, we do understand that there are kind of generations and people where they've just had so much saturation online that they've made that decision to step away, that they've turned off the Facebook account, they've kind of stepped away from the digital life.
I don't use Facebook anymore. I think I found, that I have however many hundreds of friends. I have people that I don't want to not be able to contact through Facebook and be contacted by. But in terms of the constant projection of life, when, my daily life is busy, my parenting life is busy, my domestic life is busy, for then to be faced with the constant narrative of other people's life and priorities and urgencies and all the rest of it, for my brain, when I can only really go on social media when I'm not working, it's not part of my job, it's a lot. So I moved to Instagram because it was shorter, and I don't think it's actually helped my attention span. It's shorter, quicker, more digestible. You get this addictive constant hit of dopamine with each short, minute long video. But what it did enable me to do, because it was new, it didn't have my algorithms, I think it was pre-Facebook taking it over, was allow me to say, in this space, what I want to look at is pottery and lino cutting. And suddenly, while I was still engaging on social media, it became so quiet and still. And that contrast was really beautiful. So I kind of curated it into, well, actually, let this be a creative space where I can watch people do something, usually something artistic. And that just shifted it, quietened it, and it allowed me to still connect, but in a very differently paced way. And that was, having said that, I then started to add things. It stopped being just pottery and lino cutting. It started to be painting, and then it started to be a cause related to painting, and then it started to be X, Y, and Z, until there was no point where the stream stopped. And my discipline of going, right, I've had enough dopamine for this evening, I'm going to shut it down, was so poor that I've got an app on my phone that limits the time I can use it.
Okay. That's
and
interesting.
It locks me out because I didn't have the discipline to do it myself.
That's helpful.
Yeah, I'll find it and link it if people want to know.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to share. I was just thinking about, where does it fit in with faith, with belief and otherwise. I remember going into, I think it was Threads and or Blue Sky. I think in my head I'm leaning more towards Threads, where basically you kind of throw your post up that kind of goes, send me the people who are interested in, in my case, D&D, Doctor Who, Star Wars, this, that, the other, let me see my people. And what was really funny, and I said about kind of being kind of a lefty Christian or something like that. And what was really funny is that I was getting sent to kind of lots of people, one, very right-wing Christians, and witches, and I was just like, okay, I think the whole spiritual thing they've just kind of put together, but I was there kind of going, wow, I mean, I think I had like kind of liberal Christians as well, and kind of easy relaxed Christians as well, but it was dominantly kind of right-wing Christians and witches, and I was there going, and what's really interesting is the witch community seems much more embracing and kind of welcoming.
A few witches.
And so I was just like, wow, this is really weird, and it was a bit unsettling. But I guess because I was into D&D, there's that overlap of those sort of things, and that it can be a bit of an avenue off. But I did kind of have to kind of go through and try and hone my algorithm a little bit, just so that it would kind of feel a little less invasive or a little bit less kind of frictious. And so for me, this is where I kind of like try and find kind of the God stuff and the faith stuff outside of the algorithm, just because I don't want to get sick of it. I want to be able to access it on when I'm wanting to, and likewise I will kind of access TikTok and things when I'm ready to kind of wind down. So it's very much compartmented, but I do still try to have a presence of wherever I am and accept that what I'm doing is transparent. And people will see me as a Christian, and therefore the phrases that I'm saying, the comments that I make, even if they do occasionally swear, because I think I also like to challenge people as well to kind of go, oh, he's a Christian, does he swear? Well, I don't from the pulpit, and I don't on my day-to-day life, but when I'm passionate about something, of course I'm going to, well, actually, do I swear? Maybe I just repost. Maybe I just repost people's swears. But do you know what I mean? I'm a little bit more kind of like, I want to stand with what I believe in, and so dare I say various things that are happening across the world at the moment. I want to call it out for what it is, and therefore I'm happier to share things with swear words in when it's something I passionately believe in. Whereas I just don't want to be lukewarm, and that's about my faith too. But
I think for me, kind of allowing spirituality space means being disciplined about the light entertainment. I need to be very, very conscious of when I'm using the escapism. And I mean, this is now also, the minute I stopped using Instagram, I found a game on my phone, just because I'm escaping into my phone rather than allowing myself to relax. And there is a time and place for that, but there also needs to be an element of discipline around it. So for me, it's about checking in with myself about my avoidant behaviors. That means that I'm not dealing with whatever it is that I'm not dealing with, and whether that's a red flag for actually I need to find a therapist, or it's I need to have some hard conversations with people in my life, or it's I need to spend some time on self-care, and create that space, and so it's I don't think the addictiveness of social media is all good or all bad, but I need to know me, and be true to myself in order to then live the authentic life that also has space for silence. And I think, if anything, social media is never silent. Even the apps that talk about mindfulness, it's all very much haptic driven, short attention span, whereas what I need is I think someone like John Keating, who is he taught Richard Rohr the kind of centering prayer stuff, so very similar to mindfulness. Talks about noticing thoughts and feelings which are transient. They come, they go, but they are not permanent, and in some ways they're not real. And to sink beneath that, and to sink beneath the traditions and religiosity of whatever faith you follow, down deeper into, for C.S. Lewis it would be the ancient magic. For other theologians, it's that kind of deeper, never changing, always there, right at the bottom of the waters, where the salt is saltiest, and that right there. And I don't know that any social media thing could ever allow me into that space, because that space is independent of anything human made. That is way before time, kind of spacey wacy timey wimey thing that is always there. And I mean, I think there's some apps that kind of allow you to ask questions, but it's still very much kind of in that cerebral space. So yeah,
I get that. I think there is that element of it's about finding your own pace with social media or without it.
Yeah.
I have never allowed notifications to come through for Facebook, for Instagram, for any of it, because I want to. I don't want that kind of constant reminder of, oh, you're missing out on
Stephen
something.
Jones is agreeing
Yeah.
with you.
Oh yeah, I found it to help put in. Yeah, absolutely. So that you're in control of it rather than you
That's
becoming a slave
interesting.
to it.
So on something like Facebook, can I
Yeah.
tell it not to give me the little, that compulsive, oh, I've got a red circle?
Yeah. That stops your notifications coming through. I do that on all my. Look, none of my social media things have any of the little notifications.
Oh,
But
YouTube
you're
is
not
telling me
looking.
I have 340.
Yeah, there you go. You see, none of
Okay,
them are on there.
that might be quite helpful.
But I think there is some things
Thank
like,
you, everybody.
dare I say, it's all about this whole kind of moderation, isn't it? About things
Yes.
in moderation are really good, but when it goes too much, when it's obscuring too much of our life and kind of our attention, even our eyesight, I sometimes find I kind of go, what is up? Okay, I've got a bit of a headache because I've been looking at a screen too much and I've been scrolling and
Yeah,
I've been
my
scrolling.
wrists hurt because I've been so engaged and I've not moved my hand in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not washed this hand because I've looked at my phone in the shower everywhere. No. I was
No one
joking.
needed that.
But do you know what I mean, it can have that impact, can't it? With where
Yeah.
you are drawn to it so much that it
Yeah.
obscures other things, and it's just
And
getting that
yes,
right.
and I think the discipline of that and the kind of the thing that allows you back to your true self is noticing who you are and what your red flags are. So rather than being wholly permissive, but also not being wholly restrictive, and kind of allowing you to find that agency and that self-trust and all the rest of it to go safely, and find the wonder, find the God spots and find the light between the cracks, because that's where the light shines through. Yeah.
I think
for Geeky Gallery.
I think we do. Yeah. It's only a couple of slides this week. So the first one here is Mendip with their just getting used to painting again. I said some rest day hobbying with tournaments to play in March and May. I actually have some army painting to focus on and get me back into the hobby desk. Again, it is about hobby. It's about routine, isn't it? About pace and routine, and the hobbies and interest things can sometimes just help us find our pace. Then he's got a couple of. There's actually another picture in between, but I didn't have time to put it all onto one slide. So I'm sure if you join our Discord, you can look at it in our Geeky Gallery, and so you can see how it starts with some of the kind of details, and then how it finishes on here. And I don't know what the name of the characters are, but they've got two, and they're like kind of got the greeny chemical fluid coursing through them.
Yeah, I'm loving those pops of green colour.
Yeah, it looks very cool. But this is like Warhammer stuff. Really should learn a little bit more about it. So that's that slide. And then the other one is just two here. One is from Specky Geek, talking about early morning Magic the Gathering with his son, which is cool. I still don't really know about Magic the Gathering. I should give it a go sometime. But our oldest is of an age now where he is excited for playing different games. And I do feel a little bit bad because in my son's room, there is a built-in shelf, which ever since he was little has just been our additional gaming cupboard with all the additional games that he's not needed. He doesn't need that space. He maybe needs that space. But basically, he's been aware of this kind of wall of games that he's been too young for. And now he's just like, I've got this one out. So we've got Dominion out. And have been playing Dominion, and he's been loving it. And actually, he's getting quite good at it already. His sister though isn't as into it, or as in we've not approached it with her because her attention span isn't there quite yet. But I think Dominion and various expansions of Dominion is on the cards, as well as Wingspan and things like that, because we're looking forward to that. But Specky Geek is doing the Magic the Gathering, and that is the end of Geeky Gallery. So think
That's a big sigh. I
we've
think
put the
for
world to
a
rights.
long, heavy day, we put the world to rights. We've gone back in time to the dawning of the World Wide Web and our engagement with it. What final words of wisdom do we need?
Stay safe online.
Kids,
And don't do what Becca does. No.
probably not. But I think something about trust that who you are is good enough, and find that person. Find that person, because that person who was fearfully and wonderfully made, who is capable of incredible compassion and creativity and resilience, that person deserves to be loved. That person deserves to be safe. That person deserves to walk the fine line between the light and the darkness, because you are infinitely precious. And wherever you go, whether that is into a real life nightclub, do you remember those days? Or into, a rolling sea, or into the mysteries of the World Wide Web. Know that you are infinitely precious and deserve to be loved and to be treated accordingly. Amen.
Geek safe, folks. Geek safe.